Hmm.
All right. No, we're live on the other. It created a new link. So,
yeah, I switched it. I gotta go in here to my studio, shut that one down real quick. It's not letting us go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure how to cross over the events. So not letting you change it.
Here, just deleting it. There we go. We should be on there, right?
Did you change the link in the thing you put on Facebook?
Yeah, I did.
Just hearing you tap away.
I think we're live now. That was a little bit confusing, but yeah, I did change that. Let me make sure though. Let me go copy this here and.
Little technical difficulties this evening.
Every day. Every day.
I think
here we go. Hopefully that's good. Hopefully everybody figures out what just happened here. We're noobs.
When I've done the live events in the past, when we were doing them for Take on the World, you have to create a temporary the little user, the ID, and give that to whatever you're streaming on. So instead of having your standard whatever it is, the stream key, you have to use the temp stream key, and it'll create an event and it'll link to that one. I'll have to mess around with it on here and see if you can do it that way.
Yeah, that's the problem. We don't have time to mess around with anything. We're always like, yeah, we'll mess around with it. And 20 days later, we're doing another show. We're like, were we going to mess around with something last time?
What do you do?
Yeah, I know. We just need more time in the day.
All right.
What's up? Couple people.
Got JJ in there.
I think they were saying Take on the World TV has a show. I think it's Nate Wolf's.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's cool. We're not in a rush. So did you see the award show the other night? Did you see the highlights?
Yeah, I saw the one comedian, like his rant,
Ricky
telling everybody
Gervais.
telling everybody they were friends with Epstein, and
it's pretty funny. It was funny. You see the actress lady that said when she was accepting her award, right? I mean, so he gave that speech about they're friends with Epstein and their character's all crappy and they're all a bunch of, two-faced people and all that stuff. And then he says, so when you come up to receive an award, don't say anything.
Nothing political.
Don't say anything. Just accept your award, thank your God, and get the F out of here. Right? And then this girl gets an award and she comes up and says she's so grateful that she got an abortion.
Yeah.
Because that enabled her to have a career.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Well, I just saw a video today that, now this is speculation, but that there's a good possibility that baby that she aborted was Harvey Weinstein's.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I was like, oh man, it just keeps getting better.
Hollywood, man. I'm glad I'm not a part of it.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd have me anyways.
Well, they wouldn't have you. They wouldn't have me either, man. You know, they can't make the movie 300 over and over, and that's about the only thing my body's good for, you know.
Well, we got some people in here. You want to intro ourselves here?
Yeah. Well, you guys, I'm the HHG. I'm the Holy Hand Grenade. I'm Ian. You guys know that.
Yep. And I'm Sampson from the Omega Chronicles TV channel.
We are teaming up for this special show. It's going to be a regular show. We did a preview I don't even remember when. It was a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Not sure exactly the date, but we're going to try to make this a regular weekly thing. And we're going to call it the Situation Report, or the SITREP 2020. And what we're going to do is just discuss what's going on with us and what's the situation look like. So it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, today we're going to talk about some cool stuff that we have lots of good conversations on the phone. Not just me and Aaron, but a bunch of you guys. And we want people to be able to be involved and be able to hear those conversations, because I think it's important just to discuss things amongst ourselves. So that's kind of what this is about. It's like kind of just bringing it to a live format and discussing some stuff and seeing what you guys think about it in the comments.
So what are we calling today's episode?
Today's episode is Character is Destiny. So not the other way around. Not your destiny does not make your character.
Yep. So, God uses your character to form your destiny.
Well, he builds your character on the way to your destiny. You don't get to your destiny unless you have the character to support that destiny, or your destiny will kill you. It will crush you. So it's all about the desert time, you know, the time in the wilderness. So I think it's pretty cool. And this is not an original. Just, you know, the church I go to, one of the pastors spoke on something like this a couple weeks ago. And so some of these, you know, notes and stuff are what I took from that sermon, but it was pretty powerful, and it hit me in the gut, man, when I needed it. It was, it smacked me around and got me ready to go again. You know how you get in those moments of self-doubt and all that stuff where you're just like, man, I don't even know if this is all worth it, because I'm not seeing stuff. My stupid YouTube channel shadow banned. You know, I can't get promoted at work. You know, and it's just life stuff that just gets you down. It's like, how come everybody doesn't notice how many skills I got? You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure that, you know, first of all, a lot of us that consider ourselves truthers, we're different, right, than most people, because we don't follow the program. We think outside the box, and that's a big no-no. And it's also pretty unusual these days, you know, to have critical thinking skills. So I think a lot of us, we feel that way, and we feel like we've been given gifts and talents, and then no outlet, or we're using it, but we're not seeing the results that we expected, or that we want, or that we were hoping for, you know? So I think it can be discouraging for sure. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we have a lot of expectations. I was talking to this about my wife, or talking about this kind of subject to my wife. I think we have a lot of expectations of where we think we should be at. Because just in general, we're human and trying to understand a finite God, and we want to see like immediate, you know, repercussions and things like that for the things that we did. See the immediate growing of the, you know, the seed we just, you know, sowed, or I don't even know what the past tense that is, but and I think that's part of the fallacy of humanity, is just we want instantaneous, you know, gratification. and we want to be in there, and and a lot of people start off in their Christian walk really gung-ho, and then there's situations happen, the adversary throws a couple of curveballs your way, and then now you're kind of down and out and trying to figure out what did I do wrong. And sometimes it's just in the position of growth where you're at, that's not necessarily like that you're supposed to be doing this at that time. But maybe that you need to be learning or studying, or God's trying to work on you on a specific task. And until you get to that, that point, he's not, going to use you, because you're still, may have things that you're running into, or problems that you could face that could interfere with something. So we were talking about last night where we were saying, like it's like a military kind of thing. You don't jump straight out of, you're signing up at the military, recruitment center. You don't jump straight into being a Navy SEAL. You have to go through basic training, and then you have to go get some man hours out on the, out in the field and stuff like that before you immediately jump into the higher end of, you just don't come straight out of the gate and go right in and become a Navy SEAL. It's the same kind of thing with our walk. There are different things that we're going to run into. There are growths that we need to get past or get through, and everyone's individual. So not everybody's walk looks the same. So, but I think that's part of what we're gonna be talking about. What our expectations are versus what God what He's expecting from us. What our destiny is versus what we want it to be. Right?
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly it, man. So, like, let's just get into it, man. Because I just think let's just start with some scripture reading, and then we'll go from there. We'll just make our talks more relevant when we get to the scripture. So I'm just going to start off by talking a little bit about David, King David, before he was king. So this is out of 1 Samuel 16. It said, Jesse made 7 of his sons pass in front of Samuel. But Samuel said to Jesse, the Lord has not chosen these. Then Samuel said to Jesse, are these all your children? Jesse said, there is yet one more. He said he is taking care of the sheep. Samuel said to Jesse, send for him. We will not sit down until he comes here. So he sent for him and brought him in. His youngest son was good color on his skin, beautiful eyes, and was good looking. The Lord said, rise up and choose him, for this is the one. And Samuel took the horn of oil and poured the oil on him in front of his brothers. The Spirit of the Lord came upon David, and strength was with him from that day on. I think this is cool because, for one, Jesse didn't even bring out David. He didn't even they come to
kind of the runt of the litter.
Yeah. Samuel's coming. He's like, bring all your sons out. One of them's going to be king. He doesn't even get David. He just leaves him out there. So I think that's super fun too, because he's overlooked. Obviously, that's pretty big. I mean, I'd be very upset, to be like, hey, what'd you guys do today? I was too busy killing this bear. I was wondering what you guys were up to. And he's like, oh yeah, well, Samuel came by and was checking us out, see which one of us is going to be king. No big deal.
We're getting picked last for dodgeball. But then you're the one that is like the dodgeball king.
Oh yeah. but I mean, he's a little kid, and that's the thing. It's like, he got overlooked for sure, and let's keep going here, because I think this is important, because you see, everybody's overlooking this guy. Nobody sees the destiny on this guy's life from just looking at him, right? So this is we're going to go over here to but here, let's go back to this one, because it says the Spirit of the Lord. So from the day that he was anointed king, okay? Well, I'm not sure exactly what age he is here. Do you know? I don't know if it says, but maybe you've studied this more or something. But I
tried looking up about what his age was there. I wasn't able to find anything immediately.
Yeah, let's just say he was 14. I don't know. Well, maybe he was 12. I don't know. He might have even been younger, because I think there's a 12 or 14 years or something between this time and Goliath. I'm pretty sure. don't quote me on any of this, guys. I'm just kind of, it's just one of them things. Like, this is cool on the phone because nobody cares. But when you go live, it's like, oh, this guy's talking false doctrine. He's talking about how many years between, how old David was, and he's straight up lying about his age. And anyways,
so it says David was 30 years old when he became king. So about the age of 10 to 15 years old is what it's saying. So
okay, that's cool.
We're close.
That's good enough. Yeah, that's good enough. So anyways, he's a little kid. He gets anointed, right? So as soon as the destiny is put on him, right? Here's your destiny, buddy. You're going to be the king of Israel. It says the Spirit of the Lord came upon David with strength. Oh my gosh, I got too many friends. Oh, look at this. Tony Stover calling me, but not on the live stream. Not cool, man. Now I'm going to have to turn my phone off because I can't trust it. Sorry. So it says the Spirit of the Lord came upon David with strength from that day. So, okay. So when he got his destiny, right, he gets anointed to be the king. He's a little kid. And then where did David go? Did he go straight up to the palace, like get in the limo? We're going up to the palace, son. Nope. He just went back to the field. So that's interesting, right? He just goes back to his dad's field for, 15 years. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it's like it was no big deal. Like, I'm going to be king someday. That's cool. Well, I got to go back to my dad's sheep because nobody's watching them right now. So they could get eaten or something, So you can tell he's a responsible kid because he just goes right back to the field. And they don't make any writings here to tell us anything otherwise. Like he was complaining about how he couldn't get in Samuel's wagon or ride side saddle on Samuel's donkey and go back with him.
Well, I think, Samuel would have been very well known to him at the time. So, if somebody was going to come up and prophesy at the time, it would have been Samuel, and I think the way that we kind of look at things, if somebody came up to you, who was a legit prophet and said, hey, you're going to go do this, we'd immediately be, like say a
Absolutely.
prophet came up to you and said, hey, you're going to start your own church, and then turned around and walked away, and you went, okay, so I need to go to the bank and I need to go get a loan and things like that. Like we would immediately try to
absolutely.
create our own
if you're going to be a big time, I'll just use myself. You're going to make awesome films. I'm going to go out and try to get some cameras. I'm going to go, start a YouTube channel. I'm going to do this. I'm going to roll with it because I'm stepping out in faith, Sometimes it's not what it's supposed to do, what you're supposed to do, because you're trying to do it on your own strength. And that's what's so cool too, is I think sometimes, like, for example, David, nobody even thought about him, right? They got all the big brothers, left the little guy out in the field, didn't even tell him. He ends up being the one chosen. And it's like, what? This guy's going to be the king? He's like a little kid,
Yeah.
And because you could tell that he wasn't going to be king by any of his power. So that's the thing that sticks out to me. Sometimes the things that are chosen for you are things that you can't do in your own strength.
Right.
So, and that's what makes it, I don't know, more challenging, more difficult. And you need to rely on God, like if someone were to tell me I'm going to be a famous movie producer or something like that, that's cool. I'm excited about that. But I know that I'm good at that. If someone was to tell me I'm going to be an awesome bowler, you're going to be a professional bowler, man. And you're going to change the world with how many strikes you bowl in a row. And then you're going to throw a shout out to Jesus. I'd be like, dude, I suck at bowling. That ain't going to happen. I'm not even going to go sign up for bowling because I don't even like bowling, But you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of stuff that God does sometimes. You ever heard that saying where it's like, don't tell God what you don't want to do because he's going to make you do it. Like, God, I'll do anything except be a missionary to Iraq. Next thing you know, you're a missionary to, you're heading off to Iraq.
So one of the things I really liked about this story, what I think kind of one of the major things that we see about, like what we're supposed to be doing in our walk and stuff. What I thought was really cool was David's love for music. that really like while he was out, he was tending his sheep. He learned a lot of things that were, very beneficial that he ended up using as being the king from being out, just tending the sheep, learning how to herd sheep. He also learned how to, how to run an entire kingdom. So there were a lot of that. But what I thought was really cool was in the story, he didn't turn and go, okay, now I've got to work up through the, get into the court system of, the kingdom. I've probably got to get some land and, become somebody important and get nice clothes and then, try to work my way up and eventually maybe I'll become king. He just goes back out into the field and has the faith that God is going to, that if God told Samuel that this was what was going to happen, well, then God is going to make it happen, not me. So he just goes back out into the field. But what I thought was really cool is God used his passion. He loved his music. He loved playing. What was it? What was the? It's like, I mean, it's always depicted as a harp, but what's the?
It's a lyre.
A lyre, right? So, and it was just him playing that. I could just picture David out in the field playing for the sheep or whatever. But it was his passion. He loved that. And when you understand the story of David, that's what got him.
I don't know. I just started thinking of I don't know why, dude, but. You ever seen those dudes that I don't even know what the cartoon is, man, but it's like the dude's out there playing the flute and he's like high stepping, and there's all kinds of stuff going on out there in the field. Like, I don't know why when you're saying playing the lyre out there. Well, I just thought of that. Bunch of sheep around him and he's just out there like getting down, kind of like old Ducky. Ducky's a professional bagpipe player.
Oh, really? That's something I've got to see.
Yeah, I got to see this too, man. You're going to have to make some cool videos, bro. Like, do some cool.
Thunderstruck. Have you seen the one that's like the guy playing the bagpipes? He's got flames shooting out the top of the bagpipes. He's playing Thunderstruck. I want to see Ducky doing that.
No. Yeah, that'd be funny. We should do it. Dude. Go to my Facebook page and look at the video I posted yesterday, I think. It's some band from, I don't even know where they're from. I don't even know, Germany or something like that. It is a hilarious video of them just goofing off and messing around. It's actually a catchy song too.
See, Ducky says he can play Thunderstruck. I've got to see that. Next conference, Ducky.
I know.
Bring the bagpipes.
Yeah, I'm telling him he needs to bring the bagpipes, man. I'll bring some stuff to play too. I got all kinds of fancy instruments I can play.
I can bring my turntables. We can mix it up.
2 turntables and
and a bagpipe.
And I'll bring the spoons and a kick drum and a resonator guitar, and we'll do some slide, hillbilly, bagpiping.
A couple of spoons on the knee.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, you got to show off the coffee mug since I know you have it.
Oh yeah. Check this out, guys. It's a gift from a friend. It's pretty cool. I've been sipping on gin and juice out of this thing. This is a hand grenade coffee mug.
That's not like a hand. That's like an arm grenade.
I couldn't throw it very easily.
It even says HHG on the bottom. That's nice.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Man.
And it actually says it when I drink from it, like it's the right way, dude. It's not mirrored or anything. That's super weird.
That's great.
It's cool.
JJ says he's bringing the harmonica. All right, we got a whole band.
Here we go, dude. This is going to be crazy. We're going to have some cool stuff going on. Yeah, so let me get on with this because I don't remember what we were even talking about.
Hold on. Back to the notes. So I was on about his passion. So his love for his music. When you continue on with David's story, that's what gets him into the court and gets him into the graces of the king is his passion. So anything he would have tried to do at that point,
right. He
was himself into the hierarchy of the court system of the king would have been completely irrelevant. What God had done was put the love for music into him already. When he formed him in his creation, he already knew his destiny, and he created him with that passion that is going to fulfill his destiny. So that whole passion with the music. So if there's passions, arts, things like that God has instilled in you, those are things that are going to be used for your destiny, and you should continue to follow those out. To block them off or try to, find a different way, you're actually going to be the one that causes yourself to get in front of the destiny and will of God for you. So what we're trying to talk about is, in our walk, sometimes we kind of restrict ourselves, or we get in our own way and we cause our own stumbling block by doing things the way we think that God wants them to be done, instead of letting God do them through faith and obedience. So that's kind of like a big, what we're talking about here. And you see that in David's story, where even his passion, his love for his music, is what actually got him into the court.
Yeah. So let's go back. Like a lot of us, we're different people, right? Truthers are different, right? I'm just going to say truther because that's what most of you people identify as.
What do you mean, you people?
I don't identify as a truther anymore, man. There's too much memes out there with stuff I don't know, man. I'm trying not to identify as anything anymore, non-binary. I don't know. Okay, truther. I mean, because to me, the name truther gets thrown around way too much, because in my perspective, the way, the truth, and the life is Jesus Christ. So all these other secular people out there that claim to know the truth, they know a truth. They don't know the truth. You know what I mean? So they like telling, I don't even know. I don't know how to explain it without saying it's not, they don't know the entire truth. Just because you think what 9/11, about 9/11 or about something else like that, it doesn't mean that you know the truth. And that's not what sets you free. Knowing about 9/11 is not what sets you free. You're still in bondage, just so you know, if that's all you know. But I back to the biblical stuff. I was going to say, because a lot of us, we feel like there's a calling on our lives, and we have a destiny, right? Why is it that we have been chosen to carry this information, right? To be, our eyes have been opened to this, right? So this has been revealed to us in greater depth than most people. And it's for a reason, right? He is going to use us for something big, right? We're probably all overloaded with gifts that we don't even know we have, or they're uncultivated, right? We might know we have a gift, but we don't know. Like, for example, just personal story for me, okay? I used to be a worship pastor, or a worship leader, not a pastor. I wasn't on staff or anything, but I can't tell if my hat's crooked or not. And this is freaking making me angry, dude. It's making me angry.
It looks
all
fine.
Right. Oh man, I'm my head is sideways or something, man. Anyways, so I used to lead worship. I used to love to play music. That was what I thought that I was going to be used for. That was the gift that I was cultivating since I was 13 years old. I was playing guitar. I played bass. I played drums. I played keyboards. I played whatever I could to try to get skilled in that. I went to audio engineering school. I got a degree in sound and video and production, things like that. Thought that I was going to do that. Then I had a child, got married in that order. Then I had another child, got divorced, then had 3 more children. And all the while, I've never done anything with that gift. Stopped playing, stopped using it. I'm still good. I still play. I still enjoy it. I'm not there. I thought for sure that that's how God was going to use me. Then here you go. I'm doing YouTube stuff. You know what I mean? I still one of my gifts, but I never thought that I'd be doing this. I liked doing videos back in the day, but I preferred making music, writing songs, singing, all that stuff. Now it's kind of back burner stuff. I enjoy it, but it's definitely not what I know and I feel that God's calling me to do right now. And, this is different seasons in your life, and the things change, and you just have to roll with it and allow God to change you and shape you and mold you into something that he's going to use for greater later on. But I think it's interesting. I think it was Andrew Murray. He's an author. He said in one of his books, Men look for better methods for evangelism, and God looks for better men. And I think that's like a huge, it was huge for me when I read that, because I thought, man, if that isn't exactly what the church is doing, you know what I mean? Like, just trying everything they can to get people into the building.
Yeah.
You know, and they're missing the point, completely missing the point. You know, they have good hearts, they have goodwill. You know, they're sincere in what they want to do. They're just missing it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that's kind of been the fallacy of the church was, you know, let's get a big building, let's try to fill it up with as many people as possible, and you know, some of the things that they do for outreach, you know, isn't really like, I just kind of wonder where they're getting some of their inspiration from, you know, like some of the things, like if we really were trusting God I mean, Jesus walked around and, you know, sat out in a field by a lake, and people flocked to him, you know, like some of the things that I see people trying to do as outreach, you know, I think are more hindering than anything else, and kind of miss the target, because they're trying to follow a prescribed thing that, you know, this is what church X, Y, and Z do down the street, so this is what we need to do. And I think the Holy Spirit, if we let the Holy Spirit do what it's supposed to do, it can bring as many people, you know, as are ready to hear the message, you know, as needed. But it becomes more of a business layout than it does doing, you know, biblical outreach like we should be doing.
Right. I think that's for sure. I mean, I'm conflicted too. I know the church I go to now is very strong in emphasizing that small groups are where you need to be. Like, you don't need to be here on Sundays. If you can't make it Sunday, if you got something else going on, don't worry about it, because this is just like corporate worship together, right? And like, this is kind of like the rally for us, right? But the real work gets done on the streets, and the real discipleship gets done in the small group, because life is done better in circles rather than in rows. I heard that and I was like, wow, that's really interesting. That's really good too. I like that. You know, I love small groups, man. I think they're right on point with that. And for sure, the call was for us to take the gospel to the world, right? Not try to find a way to bring the world into the church building and trap them in there and flat smack them. You know what I mean? And the thing is too, man, I mean, when you're out there engaging people, it takes you out of your comfort zone. You never know what's going to happen if you're following the Spirit's direction. And that's what I think is, you're trying to be loving. You're willing to do whatever happens, right? Whether you encounter a homeless person or whatever, someone needs prayer, you need to be willing to engage them, not just like, well, we want to make sure that they're all safe and that they're clean and not on drugs. And then if they come into the church, then we'll pray for them. You know, that's like, you know what I mean?
That reminds me of a situation that I had where I remember driving by somebody who was homeless. And like I said, I've always been the kind of, I've always, you know, in the same kind of mindset. I didn't want to, you know, help somebody's alcohol addiction or drug addiction or whatever. And so I was just kind of like, you know, God, what am I supposed to do? There are so many of these, you know, homeless people that are out there that need help and stuff like that. And I heard pray for them, because you don't know if you could be the only one that is praying for them. And I'm thinking about that. I'm like, I wonder how many hundreds of people pass that guy and roll their windows up or give him $1 or whatever. But what are they doing, you know, feeding him spiritually, or even praying for him just that he makes it through the day tomorrow or something? Like, who is doing that? Because I don't think a lot of people are. So that's, I mean, something in that situation to think about. So, and then if the Holy Spirit, if you know, leads you to go speak to them or to go have a relationship or something like that with them, then that's a different story. But I think in just our walk, that should be something that you see somebody. I remember I had one day where I was working. I just got off a pole, you know, putting all my gear up, and I look over and this guy's got a tree, like a 30-foot tall tree, tied off to the bumper of his car, and he's chainsawing it. And I'm like, this dude's gonna kill himself, you know. And like in that point, I'm like, man, I'm gonna pray for this guy, like that he doesn't kill himself and his dogs that are running around him. I'm like, get some angels down here to just make sure this guy, doesn't hurt himself or something, like we should be trying to keep prayer, and for people and for situations we see in the back of our minds at all times. I think that it should be like second nature to us, like breathing. And that's something that I'm struggling to try to get to, but that's something that I really want, for everybody. And like Paul says, he's like, oh, well, I wish everybody spoke in tongues as much as I do or whatever. That's kind of how I feel about prayer. Like I wish, but I'm not there yet. I'm still working, but it's, that's part of why we're doing what we're doing, is because we're all, Ian and I and several, other guys who we talk to on a regular basis. We're all in this walk, and we're trying to show everybody, hey, you're not doing this by yourself. We're all walking. No, I don't think anybody's got it figured out yet. There was one guy who had it all figured out, and he's coming back soon. So
he'll be at Take on the World too. He'll be at Take on the World 2020.
It would be awesome.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, let's just try to go. I got some points written down here. So back to if you believe you're different and you believe that God has purpose for you, He's giving you a dream. Then something has to develop where you're at right now. Something needs to change in your character before you can move into your destiny. So if you're feeling stagnant and stuff like that, just be faithful. Just, continue to press in and continue to just stay faithful with what He's got you doing. Like some of us, we're in a season where we have lots of little kids, and it's really tough to do anything. I feel like I live every single day and it's Groundhog's Day, unless I put a video out. Then it's Groundhog's Day, but I put a video out. It's literally my days are pretty much the same up until about 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. And it's really tough, man. I've had kids for a long time. I have a almost 16-year-old kid and a 1.5-year-old and all in between there. So this has been the grind. And my wife too, and I asked her, like, did you get into devotions today? Did you get to do this morning? And she's like, no, I didn't have any time today. I'd like to do it now if I can. So then I'm like, okay, let me watch the kids for you so you can go do something, but it's like, man, it's tough, dude. But this is the season. We're just trying to be faithful, dude. And we're just trying to teach our kids. You ever think about maybe the reason why you've been given all this knowledge and truth is to teach your kids, because your kids are the generation that's going to change the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's up to you to teach those kids. Stop giving them to the state. Stop giving them to the Sunday school classes to teach and rear, when you're supposed to be the father, of the house, and that's your job to instruct your kids. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with sending them to Sunday school and stuff, but I feel like we kind of just give our kids away to, because like if I know growing up in church, it's like some of the big statistics are, kids that graduate from high school fall away, right? Many of them, it's like 80% or something like that, don't go to church during college years and even after that. So yeah, that's crazy, man. But we try to blame it on the Sunday school teacher. Like, well, man, if they had a better school or a better curriculum or a better, program at this church, then maybe these kids would stick around. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with your home life. Just like when your kid comes home from school and you can tell the kids that struggle to read and the kids that struggle with disobedience and like attention and all these different things, it's because they have nobody at home who cares at all about whether they can read, whether they did their homework. They're not involved. They're not investing in their children, and they want to blame the teachers or, I feel like we've given up too much responsibility, because it's up to us, man, because like developing your skills is 100% on you. That's one of the things that you have to do. Yeah. God will put you there because, like, when you're waiting to walk into your destiny, right? Between every palace, there's a pasture, so to speak, right? And between every Egypt and the promised land, there's a wilderness or desert, right? And that's the place of testing, the place where you're God is just grinding it out with you and seeing what you're made of. Because in a couple of weeks, man, we're going to do a show on the Joshua generation, raising up the Joshua generation, dude. And we've been working on this for a while. And I'm hoping that Ducky here is going to join us for that one because it's going to be good. But that's where we're at right now, guys. We're walking into this unknown here coming up, and the Joshuas are starting to arise. I think God is raising up a new generation that is going to be grounded in truth. This truth that we know, that we are training up. And that's going to be the generation, that goes through the tribulation and all that stuff. And we got to be prepared, man. We have big, responsibilities.
Well, I think coming back to, where you're saying you're feeling stagnant and stuff, sometimes, I mean, I know I felt the same way. Like, I don't know how many times I've been in a job situation, like when I was working in the bar industry and as a DJ and stuff, I'm going, why am I here? And there could have been one person during that time frame that God wanted me to speak to, and to touch before something maybe happened to them. I have no idea, but God will meet you where you're at. So you don't always have to be like, well, God, I'll do this for you, or I'll go do this job, or I'll go, maybe I need to go out. He'll meet you where you're at, and he'll use you where he needs you, if you're willing to be obedient and to listen to the Holy Spirit. So just like with my job, I'm in people's homes all the time, and I'm out into different neighborhoods and stuff like that. I used to dread, like, getting up and going to work, and it's like, oh, I've been doing this for years, like, it just gets old sometimes. But what has really changed my kind of perspective on it is, instead of me doing it just so that I can pay bills, I'm doing it because I have a family who I'm taking care of. But then now my perspective is on it is, what can I do for God's kingdom today? So not only am I doing my job, I'm paying my bills, I'm feeding my family, but now I have another layer to it, that I'm making myself available and open for God to put a job in my path where maybe somebody needs prayer, somebody needs a word of confirmation, or something that I can maybe even just drive by, stop at a gas station. There's somebody there who needs something, and starting your day out like with that mindset can actually, change your situation. So that's something we were talking about the other day, was our perspective on things. Our perspective is our reality. And if your perspective is just that you're going to wake up every morning and you're just going to, you're taking care of the kids all day and you got to wash dishes and do laundry, or you're going to work from your 8 to 5 and you're going to come home, watch TV from 6 until 9, then you're going to go to sleep. That's a really boring life. But if you're waking up and going, I'm going to do something for God today, and I'm going to be listening and try to be obedient to God today, it can change your whole perspective and can change like your stagnation. I've always looked at our biblical walk as like a set of stairs, but there are times when we hit something that's like a plateau, and it's usually because God is trying to get us to elevate ourselves to the next level. Like he's trying to grow us so that we can step up to the next level. So, we have to figure out what's causing that stagnation in our life.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's not what you go through, right? It's not all the hard stuff you go through. It's how you respond to it that matters. That's what makes character. Like, character is not from, you don't get character. It's not given to you just because you read the Bible and you pray, right? It's not giving you character, but reacting to God's instructions is what brings character. And that's what brings, this destiny opportunities, right? When God literally meets you and you do great things through his strength because you were obedient with the little things. Like, let's go back to the story of David here. And we go to Samuel 17. All right. This is when it's David and Goliath story. Okay. So it's like, you got Goliath over here taunting all the Israelites, and David says to Saul, "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go fight him." And Saul replies, "You're not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You're only a young man, and he's been a warrior from his youth." So literally, he's telling David, "Dude, you literally you live in a field with sheep, bro, and this dude has been fighting. He's a warrior. He's been training for his entire life, right? And David says to Saul, your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion and a bear came and carried off the sheep from the flock, I went after it, and I struck it and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair and struck it and killed it.
Punching a lion.
Like, yeah, he's like, dude, I don't know why. I would have to do a word study on struck it here, because like I want to know, like, for real, did he like? Because he didn't say he shot it or he like, I don't know what it says, dude. It says he grabbed it by its hair and struck it. Didn't say stabbed it. Nothing,
that
dude.
Lion.
No kidding, man. Like, can you imagine seeing a dude like grab a lion's beard and punch it in the face? Like, dude, have you seen the video of the Australian dude that kangaroo grabs his dog in a headlock? Have you seen that? The kangaroo, like, his dog's out there barking at this kangaroo. This kangaroo comes up to it and grabs his dog, right? This dude literally runs up to this kangaroo and he's like, bam, and punches this kangaroo straight in the face. And the kangaroo just like, it's just like standing there, like, but you see its head go back. Like, cracks me up, man. But yeah, I definitely go look that up. That's hilarious. But so David struck this stuff and he just killed it. And he's saying, your servant killed both the lion and the bear. So this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he's defiled the armies of God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. And then Saul's like, well, go and the Lord be with you. But so the cool part is, so when David says, first of all, Saul's like, dude, you can't go out there. This guy's been a warrior forever. You're like a kid, right? And he says, bro, I've been in the fields keeping my father's sheep. It's not a big deal. Like, I killed a lion and a bear and I wasn't even protecting my stuff. Like, this is his father's sheep, it says. So it's not even his. He's been working somebody else's dream, right? But he's been faithful because, like we said in the beginning, this is like 15 years later, right? So before he's like 12, now he's almost 30, right? Or something like that, whatever. So he was literally keeping his father's sheep for all that time, right? He's just, and he had already been anointed to be the king by Samuel, right? So, dude, he knows who he is, because that's exactly what's so cool about this. His character is knowing exactly who you are, right? Who does God say you are, right? Because that's, even so when like Jesus, God said, this is my son in whom I am well pleased. And then the devil came to him and said, if you are the son of God, the devil's always trying to misdirect you into thinking you're not who you are. Or
you know what I mean? Really say that.
Yeah. Did he really tell you were this? Who are you really? Right. Because does your life right now line up with your destiny? Right. If it doesn't, maybe you've been lied to, right? That's what he tries to get you to believe, like, but you're being groomed. You're being, sharpened, and that's what's so cool.
That's the other thing about like the experience. So we talked about how the passion, the love that something that God has instilled in you, something that you love to do, arts, whatever it may be, but then also experience. So just like why I kind of always wondered why I was a DJ, I got to play in front of like thousands of people. So speaking in front of groups and things like that was something that God kind of trained me through, so that I could, that maybe one day he has me speaking in front of 1,000 people live or whatever. Would a lot of people have that fear of speaking in front of, and these are things, the experiences that God has put us through, good, bad, ugly, and indifferent. They are going to be a tool utilized by God to get us through to our destiny. And if you look at this, one of the whole reasons why David's infamy, how everybody knew him, was because of this situation where he struck down the giant. And the reason why he was able to do so, because he's like, man, I fought a bear and a lion before. This dude's nothing, like, because in his experience of what he went back through. Now, just imagine if he had bypassed and he just went, hey, look, I don't have to do this, Dad. I don't have to go tend your sheep. I'm going to be a king one day. And he went and sat in the house all day and did nothing. Right. Because what is his dad going to do? Be like, this guy's going to be the king.
What is his dad going to do?
But instead, his experience, these different things got him to a place that if one or the other had been missing, he would have never become king. But God had built him and put him through the experiences he did just so that the puzzle pieces fell in exactly the way they needed to. And our lives are the same way.
Right. Yeah. Like a lot of people, like, they think they're going to do something great. Like maybe you've been, you feel like God wants you to write a book, right? But are you you ramping up your vocabulary right now? Are you learning, are you learning about what's involved with writing a book? Or are you just sitting there like, I'm gonna write a book one day? Like, you know what I mean? Are you doing something to kind of work towards that? Like, I mean, it's you work with what you have, right? So you maybe, like, for example, I'm trying to be humble, but so I hope this doesn't come across as like super whatever. But when I first started my YouTube channel, because I felt like God told me to in 2017, I first started it, man, because I was like, well, I mean, I want to. I think that's cool. I mean, I don't know what I'll post, and also I didn't even have a computer, because my computer literally, like, when I got all the Napster stuff and all that junk. I got a virus that destroyed every hard drive I had and everything I owned. And then I got divorced, and, I got super poor. So I couldn't afford anything. So I literally didn't have a computer or nothing. I had a cell phone. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll just have a YouTube, and I'll just have to figure out how to do it from my cell phone. So my videos were not good, but I did it. You know what I mean? I did it with my cell phone. Then eventually, couple months, actually it was about a couple months or so, I was able to get a computer. Not a very good one, but I had a computer. It was a little better. And then eventually you work your way up, right? You just do with what you got, and then you get something better, hopefully. If not, you just stay faithful with what you got. I don't know, man. It's just, that's how you got to roll like that. If God's telling you to do something, try to do your best to do it with what you have, because maybe he's just testing you right now. He's just trying to see if you want it. See if you're willing to go and do it right now with what you have. And then the blessings will come in, right? So I'm going to go to James here. James 1, 2, and 3. It says, consider it joy when you face trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So, like, these times of testing in the wilderness, between things, right, where we're being shaped, we need to be considering it joy. Like, we know God's got big plans for us. We just need to be ready, right? We don't want our dream to kill us. We want our character to be able to support that destiny, right? So that's what it's about. You just got to keep that in focus, right? Another one is Romans 5, 3 and 4. Not only so, but we also glory in all sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope. So I think that's a good one. That's a good one to remember too.
So you were at Romans 5, what, 3?
Yeah, 3 and 4.
So does yours say the tribulations? Not only are we exalted in our tribulations.
I'm reading the NIV version. Let me check. Which ones are you reading from? ESV. Let me see.
NASB is what this one is.
Well, it just says sufferings in the ESV. Are you talking about? Is it say rejoice when you face tribulation?
Yeah, mine says not only this, but we exalt in our tribulations, knowing that tribulation brings perseverance. Well, the one thing I wanted to talk about was like the tribulation aspect, as it was a word study that I went into and I found really, really cool, was like that when Jesus said that wide is the gate that leads to destruction, but narrow is the path that leads to salvation. That word narrow actually has the same root as tribulation. So it means to be pressed upon. In the Greek, it's like to be pressed between a rock and a hard place. So what it actually is saying is, like, that pathway is not just narrow, it's like squeezing in between a rock and a hard place, or tribulation. So tribulation leads to salvation. And right here, it's also saying that tribulation brings perseverance. So, and perseverance is proven character, and proven character
is hope. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that version way better. New American Standard.
But yeah, so that's just something I always like to tell people, you know, when you're going through hard times and hardships, there's probably a reason, you know, it's shaping your character for one, or it's removing things. When we look at like the story of Job and we go, man, Job lost everything and all the people around him and his friends and his family. But if you read the story of Job, Ducky and I think all of us have talked about this before. When you read the story of Job, Job was saying prayers for his sons because he thought the night before that his sons had cursed God. And like, so the people that were around him were probably not the best of character. And so what God was doing was kind of separating that from Job, because Job was the one that was said he walked righteous, or, you know, that God said he walked righteously, but it didn't say anything about his family and friends. That whole tribulation process was like a reset for him. And I've been in several of those myself where, you know, I've lost friends, family members, things like that. But if I wasn't gone through that, who knows where I would be today? You know, if I didn't have to shed that worldly aspect of, you know, whatever it was that I was dealing with. So, you know, sometimes we go through tribulations as like a kneading process. Like we were talking about the potter's clay. I've heard it, you know, that when they knead the impurities out, you know, it's because if they don't, I don't know if anybody's ever heard the potter's clay, or if people haven't, when you're making a pottery, you have to get all of the bubbles and stuff out, because when it actually goes into the fire or or tribulation or something like that, if it has bubbles inside of the pottery will actually explode. So you have to remove all of the imperfections, all of the impurities, all the bubbles. It's like kneading, you know, it's part of that process. And one of the other things when we talk about like the potter's clay, God has an idea whether you're going to be a cup, a bowl, a plate, or whatever it is. And sometimes I see a lot of people who God has designed to be a plate, and they're like, well, you know what, but God, I would be a better bowl than I was a plate. And they try to shape themselves, right? But God is the one that's forming you, and everything that he has put in the path for your existence, for your destiny, he has laid it out for you to be a bowl or to be a plate or whatever. So sometimes we try to be like, well, you know, but I think I would be a better cup, you know? So, but God he has it laid out. It's all about letting God do what he needs to do with your life. I said this earlier, was that we tend to be the biggest stumbling block between God and our walk. Like we seem to we catch up a lot of problems and things like that because, well, I want to do it this way. You know, I remember that from a young age as part of my testimony was I was raised to be a father and husband and things like that. And God kept telling me to wait. And I kept doing it my own way. And it led to one disaster after another. And that was because I wasn't patient enough to wait on God to actually do the things that he needed to do in my life. So he was going to make sure I was going to learn those lessons one way or another.
Dude, that's the same thing with me, man. I can honestly say I am completely different than I was 10 years ago. You would not recognize me. I mean, physically probably either, but spiritually, I am completely different, dude. Like, I have been through so much crap in 10 years, man. Like, when people were posting that stuff on Facebook, like, what has God done in your life in the last decade, right? Or showing a picture of, here's you from 2010 and then here's 2009, 2019 or whatever it was, man. I'm like, dude, I can't even write all the crap that I've been through and that's done. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really insane. It really is insane how much stuff has happened in 10 years, man. And that, when you look back in your life and you think, it's only been 10 years, like, holy crap. I feel like I'm 50, bro.
Yeah. I
just feel like, but I feel good. Like, I feel like there's so much more stuff that's going to happen that's so exciting, and I'm pumped up for the future, bro, for sure. Yep. And I see, I see the error of my ways, and I definitely know that I would not be here had I not been in the pit, man. Like, literally, because I went my own way, I did my own thing. I got crushed, and I mean, he pretty much. I wasn't willing to give things to him, so he stripped everything.
Yep.
And that's how I would say that I have learned. Majority of my life has been learning the hard way, right? Stubbornness, learning the hard way. And, and my brothers would say the exact opposite. They would all be like, no, dude, we learned the easy way because we saw all the crap that happened to you. So we didn't do that. Right. But I mean, I see my kid, I see some of my kids, my older two, my older one, especially my older daughter. And I see some of the same, characteristics in her, and it scares me because I'm like, oh no, like I really wish I could have fixed this a little earlier so that she didn't have that part. You know what I mean?
Well, but the thing is too, like because I mean, my kids are like carbon copies of me. Like, I mean, they have their own personalities and stuff, but they're definitely stubborn Samsons. But I look at it as like, it gives me the motivation because I mean, we still deal with generational things and stuff like that. I wasn't perfect in my life coming into here. So I'm sure I probably, gave them some stuff that they're going to have to tend with, but it gives me the kind of kick in the pants to spend more time talking to them and having a personal relationship with them and letting them know, here's where my failures were at. If you're going to make mistakes, make your own. Don't make the same ones that I did, Yeah. So that's something that I want to really impress on my kids. And I want them, to have a better understanding and like my parents tried as much as they could to try to, teach me what I needed to know, but I had to experience life. I mean, being stubborn, like that runs in my family. I had two options on how to learn the lesson is to listen to my parents and read the Bible and, get the lessons that way, or, go tripping head over heels down a hill and learn the lesson that way. Cause I mean, that's how I've had to do it. But the one thing I do have to say is God is always faithful. And my mom, she prayed for me for my entire life, because I was off doing, I should be dead by now, but I am where I'm at because of those things. But even though I was kind of, just like that lost sheep that God says, hey, I'm going to leave this group and go get that one, that sheep could have tumbled down a hill or a mountain or whatever, but still it had that shepherd that was there to protect that sheep. And he was going to rescue it wherever it found itself. I
think too, for us as, growing up in a Christian home, I know you did too. Like that, the verse, train up a child in the way he should go and he will not depart from it. So even though we were both stubborn and we both did a whole bunch of stupid stuff, we knew where to go. Right. When we wanted help and we needed someone to save us, we knew where to go. And that's, I'm so thankful for that my parents did that they taught me, that they made me write scripture verses when I was disrespectful. And when I was, like grounded, all I could do was literally write sentences all the time, and like half the Bible verses that I've memorized because of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like, at the time I did not see the importance. I thought it was horrible. I'm like, well, okay, they're going to make me like the Bible by punishing me with it. Okay. But now I'm like, guess what, kids? Yeah. Writing sentences. You know what I mean? Like, I know it works, man. And, let God do it. You know, that's the thing. It's like, I give my kids to Father, but
God also knows what it takes to break
a man,
to break us. And I will say this, I may have taken the rough road, but that rough road, those are lessons I will never, ever forget because of the physical and mental, emotional toll that it took on me and the scarring that happens. But when you have a father who is willing to care for you and bandage those back up and repair those wounds and stuff like that, I can't remember what it was called. There was a little saying that said like a scar is called a scar, or so, I'll have to go look it up. But when you do have those scars, you never forget them. Like when you do have those wounds, those things that you went through, you never forget those, and those become like, God will use the situations that you were in, because a lot of people find stumbling blocks in previous relationships and previous things that you've dealt with in your life. But if you give those to God and he takes that and turns it into a strength instead of a weakness, instead of a scar, like, then he can utilize you, and your testimony is based around your experience instead of, well, it's just, I go to church on Sundays and that's all I've ever done. Well, what kind of testimony is that? If you actually have a testimony where you've seen strife, you've seen tribulation, you've had problems, and God has carried you through those things, that is a story worth telling. And that's a story that people will actually turn people to the kingdom. So this is what we're talking about when it says that the tribulation builds character. I think people always joke about that. It's like, oh, let's pick on our little boy, because it'll give him some character, because that's how it's always been, is that the picked on kids are the ones that ended up being like the cool people when they were adults,
That's true. Unless I'm not cool. You think I'm cool?
I think you're cool. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Your hat's
that's absolutely a true statement. I look at Ducky. He gets picked on still, dude, but he's cool. He's a cool dude, and he plays the bagpipes for the love. The dude is good-looking guy in plaid for sure, a plaid dress.
Hey, I'm going to step away from the camera real quick. If you want to go on to the next part, I've got to let my dog out. He's like,
listen, man, take care of what you got to take care of.
I'll be right. I don't know if I should shut the cam down or.
Here, I'll do it. Check this out.
I'll be right back. There we go.
Oh, look at that. So I got something funny for you guys. Let me see if I can. Let me put this in here because this is funny to me. Numbers 12:3. This is really funny. I'm going to see if you guys know why it's funny before I give it away. Let me turn this off. Ducky. All right, man. All right. Numbers 12:3. Here it is. I'm sorry, I didn't put it in there. Now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth. Anybody know why this is a hilarious verse? Come on, chat room. Get some smart people in here. Why is Numbers 12, verse 3 super funny? If I had Jeopardy music, I would play it. Any answers? Any guesses? You guys are not very exciting right now. Maybe you all went to bed. I don't know. I think the chat room went to bed, bro. There literally no one is responding to my.
Everybody's asleep. They're gonna watch the rest of it tomorrow.
No, they're like, okay, no. Thrashing the wheat. That is not. No, you're wrong, man. That's not even the right. You're even talking about the right verse, man.
What are we talking about?
I just put in Numbers 12, verse 3. Now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth. And I asked why it's a funny verse.
Oh,
and no one's saying anything.
Oh, where's Ducky at? Hey, Ducky would have came back.
Yeah, they all went to sleep, man. I think Ducky's probably working, man. He's probably like in between stops or whatever. He just pops in.
Rachel says she doesn't know.
Yeah, wives aren't allowed anyways. Yeah, and anyways, I'm just kidding. Okay, right. So I think it's so funny. You want to tell them why it's funny? Why
Numbers 12:3? Did you read it already?
I'll read it here. Numbers 12:3. Here it is again. Now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth.
And why is that so funny?
Yeah, why is it funny?
because Moses wrote Numbers.
Yeah, Moses wrote that. He wrote that about himself. He wrote, "I am the most humble man on the face of the earth."
You know, I wonder about things like that. Like, I mean, because in mine, it's in parentheses. And
yeah,
I
me
wonder,
too, man. That's why
I wonder
it's
if
right
that's
there.
not additional, like that somebody else added into, because it's like the passage in Genesis where Jesus, or where God just created Eve. He just pulled her out of the rib cage, and Adam looks at her and he's like, "Man,
Dang.
your name is going to be Eve because you know." And then in like the little parentheses thing, it says because you're going to be the mother of all creation. Well, they hadn't even been intimate at that point, so there was no way that he would look at her and go, "You're going to be the mother of all creation," right? Like somebody inserted
Adam
that.
name Eve though? Because did he name her, or did God name her?
Well, I don't know. In the I think it says your name will be Eve because you'll be the mother of all creation. We'd have to look, but I thought it was Adam.
I think Adam was dude. That's like the first fight right there. Because if Adam was given charge over the animals, and he got to name the animals, right, or the beasts, and then he gets to name his own wife, that's like that's what caused the first fight right there.
Well, what I think is funny is even because to me that would have been something that they added into the text, right? Because at that point they didn't have kids until they were at the fall, right? So
yeah,
somebody added that into the text, and since Moses was the one that read that, that was probably like an additional thing that he put in there.
So, well, who added it?
Well, Moses probably, when he was telling the story, right? But the thing is, though, is then who added this one? Did he say, so Moses, me, is the most humble person?
Yeah. So. Oh man. Yeah, I guess maybe the chat room's super behind. I don't know, man.
That's what JJ said. It said it's like 2 minutes behind.
Well, that's no good. I wish I'd have known that, man. I'd have gave you a longer time.
Well, it's a good thing we're not doing Bible trivia, because it'd be like, oh, time's up. Yeah. Jeez, you guys are not participating.
It was like, it was like, crickets, man. I was like, anybody know why this is funny? Anyone? Bueller? Nobody, man. And actually 2 people like left. So at least according to this thing.
Sorry. I mean, I step away and then people are just
I know,
leave.
man. I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw Doc was he was commenting on I think what Ducky had said about the tribulation earlier. So the etymology for tribulation also refers to the instrument used to beat unwanted particles from the wheat in the fields while it's growing. So
yeah, that's super cool. Yeah. So we're getting kind of lengthy now.
I don't even know. How long have we been on here? Mine doesn't have a time. Oh, there it is up at the top.
Hour and 12 or 1 hour and 13.
Okay.
Which is cool. It's no big deal. It's just, I know a lot of people they're going to go to work in the morning. I got to go to work super early. So, I could be on here all night. That's what I do normally. So
well, I had a couple things to touch
sure.
on while we were talking about this. So we kind of talked about our passions, what God has instilled in us can help us towards the destiny that He's called us to, our experience, what's called us. But some of the things that I want to talk about is where we find ourselves in our current position. Because I know there are a lot of people who are going more, Torah observant, and there's a lot of people who are, more hyper grace. In that whole concept, though, I see a lot of division where we should have, people. It's kind of like the left and the right hand. It's still part of the same body, but you see a lot of fighting, like arm wrestling with the same body, But so one of the things that we had talked about several times was how we can't be locking ourselves away into a specific category, or, like I joke about it and say our Torah closet, and just surround yourself with people who just is an echo chamber of, the same thing that I teach or whatever, because we need to be learning and teaching from all aspects that God brings into our lives. So what was it? One of the ones we were talking about, about how we treat each other and things like that. So part of that is where, in our walk, is God's going to bring people into our lives and deal with different problems and stuff that we have, and a lot of times it really has nothing to do with like the other person. A lot of times it's something God is dealing with us. That was something we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Was the whole aspect of there's a lot. I see a lot of how did I word this last time? I see a lot of people who, when we talk about and counsel people in relationships, and the wife will say, well, I need to pray for my husband so that he can change. Well, 99.9% of the time when that wife prays for the husband, God does something with her, not with her husband, and the opposite, the same way around. So a lot of times when we're dealing with opposition, we're dealing with problems, we're in where we're at, where we're feeling like we're stuck or whatever. A lot of times we're thinking it's human nature to say, well, if this wasn't in my way, if I didn't have to deal with this, or if my kids weren't doing this or whatever, then I would be able to progress. But a lot of times it's our perspective of the way that we are seeing our world around us that's causing the issue, and God will deal with something on us. So what I have noticed in a lot of this stuff to help our growth is we need to start going to God and say, look, I know I've got all this stuff going on around here, and I pray for these people and I pray for this and whatever, but what do you need to change in me? Because our relationship with God is personal. It's just between us and him. I'm not getting into heaven because of my wife, and my kids aren't getting into heaven because of me. Like, we all have personal relationships that we need to have with the Father. So that's part of like the whole conversation we're talking about is, when we're dealing with these like issues and stuff like that, is we need to go to God and ask God what God wants to do with these circumstances. Like, you're because we were just talking about not having enough time and stuff like that. I could tell you from my own experience, when I was just starting to do our Friday night Bible study, or just thinking about it, because I kept feeling like I needed to do it. But I was like, man, how am I going to do it? Because I'm DJing some nights, or I'm working late on this night, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. But I'll tell you, when I was actually faithful to it, and I just started with the first day, it seemed like my schedule started clearing up every Friday, like to where I didn't have to worry about, people stopped calling me for DJ gigs, or I didn't have to go, work late on that Friday or whatever. And it just, the obedience in it was kind of what opened the doors. And I can tell you from my own experience that there's a lot of stuff that we do, if we say, well, I don't have enough time to read the Bible, or I don't have enough time for this or whatever, we got plenty of free time. The world has put this like, well, you need to concentrate on this, you need to focus on this, you need to do this, and has taken us away from what our primary focus should be. God says, you should have no other gods before me. There should be nothing else before me. Let me take care of everything else. Let me take care of the worry about the bills, about your job. If you put God first, he takes care of the rest of it.
I mean, there's a what's the verse that says, we are soldiers in the Lord's army, right? So, and it says a soldier does not concern himself with the things of the world, but he seeks to please the one who sent him, right? He's got one focus, right? That narrow path, right? What is required of me right now? What do I need to do to serve my king, right? Or my leader, my, general, or whatever, the captain of the army, right? The captain of the host is Jesus, right? So what do I need to do for him? What can I do for him? That's like supposed to be what we think about constantly. We don't think about this other stuff like, well, if I start doing this, then I'm going to miss my show, or, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Like, I know it's crazy because people will say, well, you got to live a little, right? That's true. You do. But it's all about, it's a personal walk. So I want to, instead of forcing the way that my life is working out onto other people and saying, well, this is what I had to do, so you should start doing this, right? I just want to challenge everybody to go to the Father and ask him, pray every morning. Lord, start with me. How can I make a difference today in somebody's life? Like that, that people say, be the change you want to see, right? Well, be the change you want to see, right? I mean, for real, do something, that changes the world around you every day. Just look for one thing in the beginning. That's all it takes, is just to start small. Start trying to shape your mind, change your focus onto the things like that. I mean, that is it's super easy to say. It's super hard to do, you know?
Right.
I mean, yeah, I mean, dude, it's easier to think about flat Earth for real than it is to think about that, like to change your mind to this. I mean,
Right.
literally, I will be completely focused, man. I'll be praying for like 5 hours in the morning. Okay, this sounds crazy. I'll be at work, but I'm like praying, you know, in my head. I'm thinking, I'm asking God for things. We're talking, things like that. Something doesn't go my way, or you know, there's a stumbling block or roadblock or something in my day. I'm immediately frustrated and angry.
Yep.
And then after I lash out on somebody, possibly with my tone or whatever, right? I get convicted and I'm like, dang, how come I didn't, you know, how come I didn't have self-control right there? I literally was trying to think about self-control. And then when it happened, it's like, what was I thinking about? I'm pissed, you know, like it's super hard, man. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, just, I don't know, man. We just got to remember that this is a process. We're never going to be perfect at it, but we can try to do better. And I think a lot of people are too worried about telling everybody else all this cool stuff that they've been enlightened with, right? Like God has allowed you to see, you know, flat Earth, or, you know, that you shouldn't trust the government, or I don't know. There's so many different things that you can learn from truth or topics, right? Or whatever. And they think like, I got to tell people. You want to tell people because everybody wants somebody on their side, right? Everybody wants, you know, when you get penalized and you got to dig a ditch, right? It's always better when there's more people digging the ditch with you than you're the only one digging the ditch, right? Yeah. So you're kind of just like, and it goes both ways. So you're just like, hey, man, maybe if I want to talk about this because it's super cool to me, I'm going to tell other people about it so we can talk about it, and that's cool. But I feel like we've kind of stay there. We're like, I have all this truth. I'm going to get a group of people that understand and believe the same things as me. We're going to huddle up and we're just going to powwow and talk about it forever, right? And then we're going to like bash people that don't see it our way. And we're going to strategize and try to find new ways to flat smack or to do whatever. And I feel like, you know, like back when I said that point before, it's like, you know, men look for better methods. God looks for better men.
Right.
Literally, you have so much work to do in your own personal walk to get you where you need to be, that we should be willing to, at all moments, like Paul says, we should be willing to share with someone the hope that we found, right? The hope that's within us. Be all things to all men. Share this with them, right? If they ask you, if they don't ask you, literally work on yourself, you know, be the person that you are wanting to see out there in front of you. You know, be this person that you are trying to find to look towards. You know what I'm saying? Everyone wants somebody to model themselves after. We have Christ. It's easier when you have like a brother alongside you, right? Like me and you, or Ducky and all these guys. We're lucky because we have a good group of people that we can talk on the phone and we can encourage each other and we can meet up and see each other. And that's super cool. We can walk, but we're not with each other every day. We can't walk alongside people that, you know, we live in 2 different states. We can talk on the phone, but we don't have someone that's like right by us, right? That's what's important about the Great Commission. It says, go therefore into the world and make disciples. When you're making a disciple, you're literally, you're telling someone about the reason why you do what you do, right? You're showing them on a daily basis. You're instructing them like you're training them. Your children are a good example of this. You literally can make your children can grow up learning and knowing all that you know. You have that opportunity. They live in your home. You know what I mean? Whether they like it or not, you can make them know what you know. They may not believe it or agree with it, but they will know what you know. They will be like, yeah, my dad is a flat earther. That's what my kids say. My dad doesn't believe in the globe. All that stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is great. You know, that's telling everybody. But they know what I believe, so I think that's, when people want to know something, they will come to you. You don't need to go and like bombard everybody and tell them all this stuff. You got way too much stuff to worry about on your own end that you need to get in check to make sure that your character's ready so you can move out of this place. I'm tired of sitting in the same spot. I feel like, I want to push through this wilderness, man. Even if I get somewhere cool like Palace, and then all of a sudden I get to another wilderness, at least it's a different wilderness. I feel like I'm in running circles around the same issues, and I need to get them taken care of, dude. So I'm in the middle of that right now. I just started a Daniel fast for 21 days. And it's not like a full no eating fast, but I gave up a lot, man. And I'm actually, this is a year of turnaround for me, man. I'm going all in. And I quit smoking a month ago. I smoked for almost 20 years, quit many times or tried to. It's happened.
I'm proud of you,
almost
man.
a month in, dude, and I have not smoked. Not that the urge isn't there, but I've not given into it. Yeah. It never says that the urges will go away. It just says, because it's a daily grind, dude. You're literally, you can't think too far ahead, but you just got to choose every day.
But that's a perfect example of how God works with somebody or two, like Ian and I side by side, right? I'm a smoker as well. And I've been smoking for just about the same amount of time. And Ian and I's like history is very similar as far as, relationships and growing up in a Christian family and having a failed marriage and all kinds of different things. Like we click on a lot of levels because we have a lot of similarities. But in this instance right now, God is working with Ian on the whole not smoking thing. And he's been willing to go through this walk, as difficult as it is. And me, I've got other things I'm dealing with. And, so that's something that I know that God will eventually work with me on, but it's something. So from my perspective, I can't, look at Ian and be jealous because his walk is progressing further than mine. And Ian doesn't want to look at my circumstance and be like, oh God, I wish Aaron was on the same aspect as me, cause I'm being called to do something and he's not. It's not fair. Like, it's not how it works. God works with us individually on our own walks. And we can't look at each other and either be jealous or be condemning because we're in two different places. Even though our walks are very similar, we can have different things that God may be working on me for a hard issue and working on him for something else. Like that's just kind of how it works. And this is something like that is always on my heart about how we interact and deal with other Christians. There are a lot of people who are called to the TO community. I just saw, Anthony or Tony's I think it was Amber Plaster posted something about the makeup. There are a lot of people, and this is something I kind of wanted to bring up. There are a lot of people out there who God has asked you to give something up because it was a problem. It was something that was problematic in your life. Like a lot of us gave up Christmas because for a lot of people, Christmas was something that the presents, the tree, all of that stuff was more important than the whole idea of Jesus, whether Jesus was born on that day or not. It became a God to people. And I'm pretty sure anybody who's ever dealt with the whole Christmas aspect with friends and family members, and you say, well, this is what I'm doing, God's asking me to give it up. Have you guys thought about it? They're like, oh, they'll send you articles on how Christmas is Christian and all this. Like, they'll find every excuse to not give it up. And that's because that's a hard issue for them. But, so God may ask us to do something that he's dealing with us so that it gets it cleared out of the way that he may not be asking another person. But I saw that like Amber Plaster had posted something about makeup. And I had this conversation with my wife. Somebody may be extremely vain, and the whole aspect of wearing makeup may be something that is damaging to their relationship with God or the relationship to somebody else, or could put them in a circumstance where it can cause lust or something like that. And God told them specifically, hey, I want you to remove that from your life because it's a stumbling block for you. But that doesn't mean that person needs to now go turn around to everybody else and tell them, hey, you need to stop wearing makeup because, God says so. If that person's not prepared and their walk is not brought them to that point where God wants them to stop doing that, then beating them over the head with the idea because I have to do it than you do is never going to work. So this is just kind of like one of those things that we really have to watch out, like talking to our brothers and sisters, because I see a lot of interactions, especially between the TO community and the hyper grace community, where there's bashing back and forth. They're two arms of the same body. Yeah, we don't do everything right, but the whole progression of us growing as Christians is that, and Ian will have to tell you who the guy's name is, but he has a book that talks about how you either come up in your growth, you start off with the gift of like searching for knowledge, or the other one is having faith. And you spend the rest of, once you go to a certain point, then you spend the rest of your time trying to attain the other one. That's kind of our growth. Is God has built, us to be different. And then he builds us up to a certain point and then goes, okay, you've kind of got this one down. You've got a 12th grade education in this one. Now you need to go back to kindergarten on this other side, and you need to start working this up, because none of us have gotten it right. None of us are 100% perfect. Like myself, I'm one of those people that absorbs a ton of knowledge, but when it comes to loving others and being out there and like having that relationship with I've got friends of mine that just go out and they'll walk through Walmart and pray with people, like, and they have the faith that through that they can heal people. And like, that's something I'm like, man, it's so amazing. You love people so much that you take time out of your day to go do that, while I'm walking around with Bluetooth headset in, listening to sermons, not paying attention to anybody around me. Like, we're two different dynamics, but God is using both of us for different things. And we need to not, I don't look at him, this other guy, and go, well, you need to know what I know. And he's not looking at me and going, well, you need to have better faith and praying for, we know that we are two different parts of the body, and God's using us for two different things.
You're exactly right, man. Like, I think about that all the time, like how, because we're very similar in that we love knowledge. And there's nothing wrong with loving the knowledge as long as it's in balance, and that's the part that's like what you were talking about with the pendulum. And the book is Reigniting Spirit and Truth by P.D. Vander Westhausen. It's an awesome book. I've already read it twice this year, but it talks about people being, prone to one or the other, truth or knowledge, right? And truth being like faith and or not truth and knowledge, knowledge and spirit being faith, having the ability to just operate on a minimal amount of knowledge and a large amount of faith, just because, and others that need to know or would like to know a lot more about what it is that they're doing before they go and do it. And sometimes it's a stumbling block, for either one. Like, sometimes you'll get those people that are the real spiritual people that are like, when you try to tell them something, they're like, why do I need to know this? I don't need to know this, right? And you're like, yeah, you do. You need to know, and they're telling you like, no, I don't. I just go and do this because I have faith. And you're like, dude, you don't even know what you have faith in. But it's like, we're arguing about something stupid, because the fact is they're operating out of faith, which is what we're supposed to be doing. And we're trying to argue and tell them they need to know more about why that it works, but yet we don't want to go step out in faith and get out of our comfort zone because we don't know enough. And like, for me, man, that's my goal this year, man. I want to be striving after having the faith to do this, because I'm tired of learning. I'm not tired of learning. I love knowledge. I love to learn, but I'm tired of not having the faith to move mountains. You know what I mean? I feel like God has pushed me to this point where I'm like willing to give up everything, right? That I just want to attain that. I want to begin operating in that other side, because I feel like he's showing me now, like a lot of my own personal issues, I always feel like I don't know enough to step out into faith. Like I want to know a little bit more about what I'm talking about before I go and talk about it, right? Well, he's saying like some of the stuff that you need to know, you cannot learn. You have to learn it while you're doing it, right? Just like we were talking about when we very first started this thing. You don't sign up for the Navy SEALs. You don't sign up for the elite special ops teams. You sign up for the military and you work your way into that based off of what you've done. You show yourself worthy with this other stuff. Like it's a progression towards that goal. You don't just jump in and do all this, right? But some people want that as a goal. They jump in and try to work towards it, and they realize they can't cut it, right? It's a big deal to be an elite special ops guy, right? Not everybody can just do it. And it requires a lot of, you know, character and determination and all that stuff. And, you know, some of it comes, the physical stuff comes easy for guys, but the mental stuff doesn't, you know, and then they have to develop that mental to get it up to the same, you know what I mean? It's like you all have different things. Everybody's trying to go that way. I'm ready to move towards the stuff that I haven't done. I haven't done a whole lot of evangelism and street things because I feel like, you know, I don't know. I try to justify it by I teach online or I do this or whatever, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I feel like God's calling me to more. He's calling me to get out of my comfort zone. He's calling me to go here. And I feel like I have to purge a lot of things because I need to hear him better. And I have too much stuff in my life that's blocking that. And he's showing me one at a time. And yeah, like you were talking about cigarettes and stuff. Dude, you know how many people have told me to quit smoking? That's like their favorite thing to talk about. Oh, you smoke cigarettes? Shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I know.
You could be healed from that right now. Yeah, you're right. I could have. Except for the only thing is I love smoking cigarettes. I still love smoking cigarettes. So it's super hard for me to want to get rid of something that I actually really like. I know it's damaging to my body. I know my wife doesn't like it. I know all that the bad things about cigarettes. I also enjoy it. So it's really hard for me to give up. You know what I mean? But I'm to that place now where I was able to be like, you know what, God? It took a lot, though, to get me there. And I'm not saying that now that I quit smoking, everybody else has to quit smoking. You know what I mean? I'm not calling you every day like, dude, you got a cigarette in your mouth. You sound like you got a cigarette in your mouth. Put it in the trash right now.
Put it in the trash right now in the name of Jesus.
Yeah. No, dude, I don't care if you smoke, bro. Everybody has. You know how many times that people have told me that I shouldn't smoke and God can't do things that because smoking is a hindrance, right, to the spirit or whatever it is. Do you know how many conversations I've had at the smoke booth outside or the curb or the side of the building where I'm smoking a cigarette and someone comes up and talks to me about something and I'm able to share the gospel or whatever. I'm smoking a cigarette talking about Jesus. And that's, some of you guys are like, that's insane.
God will use you where you are.
He had me smoking. He knew I was smoking cigarettes when he brought that person to me. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that was a barrier or something that this guy that broke something, it made me approachable to this guy. Cause he's like, he smoked cigarettes. You know how many times that's happened? Like, you go work someplace and you automatically have a bond with somebody at the smoke booth. You go out there and they're like, hey, what's up? Everybody's cool out there, sharing lighters, you're doing whatever. Right. I don't know, man. I smoked for a long time. Now I don't smoke. I kind of miss being out there at the smoke tent. You know what I mean? But God's got more stuff for me. It doesn't mean I can't go out there. It's just, I'm choosing to not go out there because I know my willpower is not that strong right now. I will literally probably smoke if I go out there. So I just don't.
I mean, like we said the other day, I think that ultimately, if you're a Christian, Bible believing Christian, Holy Spirit filled, that those kind of addictions are something that God is going to remove from you when He does, and because what we said the other day. I mean, if we move into a future like in Revelation where you can't buy, sell, or trade, any addiction to sugars, caffeine, nicotine, pornography, any of that stuff could be a serious problem for you if you can no longer buy, sell, or trade. Like, I mean, these are things that we have to think about, that, God's going to remove those things from us. But I mean, that's just one aspect of it, but it's no different. It's the same thing. God is like trying to put us all on a fast track, right? Because we know what time we're in. And there's a lot of learning, a lot of studying, and a lot of growth. So those of us who have spent all this time in study, now God is changing gears and saying, okay, you guys are cool. I've got you trained on the whole study thing. You're still doing that, whatever. But now I want you guys to focus on, loving your neighbor, loving your brothers and sisters. I want you to start focusing on this stuff and building that side up, right? So I want everybody to just remember, like the apostles after Christ's death, burial, and resurrection, they went out to cities in pairs. And I just imagine them as being like, one of them was like the dude that was all about the book knowledge. And the other one was like, praise Jesus, I love you, and the one that was the hugging everybody, Some of these people that we have battles with online about, hyper grace versus Torah observance and stuff like that. Can you imagine if we paired up where we agreed on, 2 by 2, we agreed that Jesus Yeshua is the salvation, and we need to go out and teach people and love people. I mean, how awesome would that be? Like, that's the kind of thing that we need, instead of having division and fighting amongst ourselves over remote topics. We need to be learning from each other, because each one of us is given a piece of knowledge, and we need to be working with others. We need to be in community and group with others to learn from others and not be so standoffish. I don't know how many times I've heard people say, well, that's not in the Bible. I've read the Bible, or, things like that. Like, they think they know everything. But what I'm trying to, like, in this kind of sphere, what I'm trying to explain is that you may have a ton of knowledge, but how are you in the loving your neighbor,
yeah, for sure,
side? Or how are you in your growth and walk? How are you in your prayer life? Like, you may have the PhD in one, but how are you doing in your other ones? Because if you're stagnant, if you're not going anywhere, it's maybe because you've hit your plateau on your learning for right now. Maybe now it's time to start focusing on something else.
Yeah, let me give you a little thing. So here, I'm going to tell you a personal testimony. So I go to a Sunday church, right? I've been going there for about 2 years. I broke away from the church because of a lot of personal issues. And if you've ever heard my testimony, it's been out there on several channels. You understand why. And if you haven't heard my testimony, go look up my testimony online. I think it's on Now You See TV's got it on there. Robbie Davidson's got it on Celebrate Truth. There's some other places you can find it. But I broke away from the church. I was shown truth in this time of, I thought I was in a pit. God pulled me out of this pit, completely changed my perspective on things. And I also went through that whole, I can't put myself back under the church, right? And that's a completely wrong way to think about it. You're not putting yourself under anything, right? It says, forsake not the assembling together, right? And these people are your brothers, regardless of what you think they know or what they don't know, right? If you've given your life to Christ and you believe Jesus is the only way, or Yeshua, or whoever you call him, right? He is the same guy. If you believe that, then you are saved and you are a part of the body of Christ. You are Israel. You are grafted in. It doesn't matter if you agree on anything, on everything. You don't have to agree on much at all except for that. That's it. That's all you got to agree on. There are things, like when I started going to this church, I mainly went there because of my wife. My wife wanted to get involved in a local church. I didn't necessarily need that because I had online fellowship and things like that. And I'm kind of an extrovert as well as an introvert. And so it's kind of like I could do either one. I'm like fine with not whatever. But I knew that it would be beneficial for my kids to go to class, to learn with other kids, to be involved and have community around us. So we started going there. We didn't get involved for at least a year. We just kind of went there and went to the sermon and left, And every single week I got something out of that service, man. And I would throw out, like, it would be something like I would read the Torah portion or whatever it would be, and I would be dealing with something that week. And then I'd go to church on Sunday and the pastor would speak on something else, and there would be some little nugget in there that would completely be exactly what I needed to hear. And I couldn't believe that this was happening, and it happened for a year. It's still happening, bro. It's still happening. Every week I go there and I'm like, good night. How is all this lining up? And I'll tell you how. It's the Holy Spirit. Yeah. They don't know everything that I know. They haven't even asked me about all the stuff that I know. I've had several conversations with people, but that's not what it's about. I went into this church thinking, God, you put me here for a reason. I must be here to teach these people the truth. Okay? That is such a cocky thing to say, but that's what I was feeling. As I've been involved here for the last year, I have grown so much just from interactions with these people because, like we were just saying, I do not have the things that they have. I do not have the love that they have. I do not have the servant's spirit that these people have. I don't know how else to describe it. I want what they have. They don't even know what I have. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know the knowledge that I have. They don't care because they live by faith. They literally operate in like this. Not that my knowledge doesn't mean anything, and it will be beneficial to them when they know. Like the things that I've been able to talk about, with these people has been awesome, and they've received it super well, which is because the Holy Spirit is leading these conversations. It has nothing to do with me walking in the doors and being like, guess what? You're all lied to. It ain't even Sabbath day. The earth is flat. 9/11 was an inside job, and then dropping the mic and walking out. That's how you get kicked out of church, because people are like, this dude's crazy and he's a disruption. You know what I mean? And, I'm not saying that you guys, if you have done that, that's crazy. And God showed you something through that, right? Whether it's an error or whatever, maybe it worked out for you. I don't know. I've just been so humbled by being a part of this community and part of this church, and being able to learn from their leadership team and the things that they know. Like, one of the things is, I know a lot about satanic ritual abuse and sex trafficking and the mind control and things like that. One of those, we had a conference, a freedom conference, and it's pretty much it was like a really good course that they go through. It's like a intro to spiritual warfare. They teach you about generational curses and all this stuff, and it's done in a small group setting. And then we go to this freedom conference over the weekend, and everyone gets prayer. It's like a deliverance service on a corporate level, and there was 500 people there from this church, and they were all getting deliverance. And they, it was so awesome and powerful to be a part of that. I have gotten free. That's the only reason I'm able to quit smoking cigarettes, is because of this conference that I went to. Literally, it freed me from the bondage that was attached to. Okay. And everybody has post-traumatic stress from some kind of trauma in their life, right? You might not know why you have addictions or problems with things, and they're attached to trauma that you have went through, things that have fractured your mind or soul or whatever it is that these attachments have clung to for so long. I was able to be healed for this, right? In the process of this, they're in there talking about abuse, and they're talking about satanic ritual abuse. They're bringing it up like they already knew. And here I am thinking, I must be here to teach these people this stuff. And I'm getting smacked around by God in the middle of this prayer service. Dude, shut up and sit there and just get healed. I don't need your help. You know what I mean? It's so humbling when you let God just teach you things. So yeah, I just challenge you to get out of his way, man.
Well, I've got two scriptures, one for both sides of this fence, because since we're talking about stagnation and talking about kind of if we feel like we're in a plateau, and so we were kind of talking about what we need to work on. So if you consider yourself in the hyper grace movement, or you're on that kind of side where you're on the fence about the TO, or you despise TO, whatever, there is Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because you have rejected knowledge. I also reject you, that you shall be no priest to me, seeing that you have forgotten the law of your God. I have also forgotten your children. Now that's the hyper grace side. So this is saying to the hyper grace side, you guys have the love, this kind of stuff, but now you probably need to start seeking out the knowledge. If you guys are stagnant where you're at, maybe now it's time to start looking, go open that first part of the Bible, this is the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
That's the time to, now you've been studying the back part. Now it's time to start reading the front part. Now for the people that study the front part, let's start reading about the back part.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, how many times that's exactly what happened to me. I grew up in church, man. I grew up in a Pentecostal church. We had no problems with spirit. That was, everything was the Holy Spirit, and, it's cool, but we literally didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. Right. And that's what was so cool. I had a problem growing up. I had a problem reading the scriptures. It was not exciting for me. I did not enjoy it. It was a pain in the butt, to try to force myself to read it. I'm like, this is the most dull thing, And then when I literally watched Identity Crisis by Jim Staley, and I began to learn about Nephilim and all that cool stuff, like Gen 6 and the Steve Quayle stuff and all that stuff. I mean, literally, when it finally did click, it was like, I got to go learn a bunch of stuff. That's when I switched from, I had a hunger. I wanted to know. I was like, okay, this is super interesting now to figure out all this stuff that I didn't understand because I didn't have the key, right? And so, it is. It's amazing. But if they're not there, they're not there, man.
Yeah.
There ain't a thing you can say to these people. So just literally, all I can say is walk your walk, man. Do what you got to do to get where you feel like God is leading you, and quit worrying about everybody else, because God he does not care when he brings you up in the throne judgment, right? He's not going to be like, where's all those people that you were following around? I want to make sure you guys all got the same, you're all getting points for the same stuff. You were hanging out the whole time. It's not even like that, dude. It's like we said before, your skills are 100% your responsibility to develop. And if you think that God has called you for something big, which he probably has, because when he is bringing you into the truth and he's letting you see, all this stuff, you have eyes to see, right? There is big plans for you. It's up to you to cultivate the gifts that he's given you, and be willing to step out in faith and do things that make you uncomfortable, because you never grow out of comfort, man. Comfort and or change always comes from pain. No one changes when they're comfortable. You're sitting on the couch, you don't even change the channel if you can't reach the remote. You're just sitting there like, I'll just watch this stupid show, right? Because you getting up to get the remote kind of sucks sometimes, man. You're like super comfortable, but you got change comes through pain. You gotta get that, man. So when you're in pain, when you're being tested, count it a blessing.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say? You want to say something about the Revelation church?
Yeah. So that was the other scripture. So we're talking about those that are hyper grace, that they should probably study some more, get some more knowledge, because they have the love, they have that kind of stuff. And then you look at the other side, those who are gaining all the knowledge, who God has called to follow the law. But I 100% believe that the church in Ephesus in Revelations 2 is the TO, or the truther community. And it says, these things, this is God, this is the angel, or to the angel of the church of Ephesus. It says, these things, says he who holds the 7 stars in his hand and walks in the midst of the 7 golden lampstands. I know your works. I know your labor, your patience, and that you cannot bear those who are evil, and have tested those who say that they are apostles and not, and have found them to be liars. This is the truther community. This is this is the community that we are a part of. It says, and you have preserved and have patience and have labored for my name's sake and have not become weary. Nevertheless, I have this against you, that you have left your first love. And it says, remember, therefore, from where you have fallen, repent and do this first works, or else I will remove you quickly, remove your lampstand from its place unless you repent. So this is like saying, okay, look, I called you guys out of Babylon. I called you, and you guys are starting to follow the laws of God again, but you guys forgot about the whole love. The greatest commission was to love God, and the one that was just closest to that was to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So we can follow all the laws, as Paul says. Paul in Corinthians says, if you were able to speak in the tongues of angels, and but if you don't do it with love, you're just a banging cymbal. And so if you have the faith to move mountains, but if you don't have love, it means nothing. You could give up all of your possessions, but if you don't have love, then it means nothing. Like, that's the whole back half of the Bible, is the love aspect. So even though we because a lot of us who are TO observant and that stuff, we came from the church, we were pulled out to be taught something, what the Old Testament tells us, and now he's calling us back and saying, look, don't forget about the first part. Don't forget about Jesus. Don't forget about the love. Don't forget about all this stuff.
Don't forget my kids, dude. These are our brothers, man. Like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, they're still our family members. You cannot just roll on these people and be like, well, they refused the truth. You don't have any idea what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't refuse anything. It's just not their time. And right. You know what I mean? That's the thing. And you're not called to only love those who love the truth. You're called to love everyone.
Yeah. I guarantee you, when it comes to the end times and the remnant, we will be all in one accord at that point.
If anything, pray for your enemies, dude. You know how many verses talk about praying for your enemies. If they're your enemies, right? If they refuse the truth, they're your enemies, right? Are you praying for them?
Right.
No, you're not. You've washed your hands of them. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man. Like, we need to seriously snap out of this crap and be like, because he literally is. It's time, because he's not gonna play around and be like, well, if this is the last days, there is no more time. And if you can't handle the responsibility of what you got now, he ain't giving you any more. Like spiritual warfare too. You can't handle the warfare that's coming at you now, the demons that are coming now. You ain't handling when the abyss is open. I'll tell you that right now. You know what I mean? You need to get familiar with how to use your gifts, how to operate in the spirit and all that junk now, because you're going to die, bro. Well, men's hearts fail them. It doesn't say men's hearts fail them because they weren't truthers.
Well, and I can see the end times from both sides. If we don't learn the other aspect, how there can be serious problems in the end times. So, for instance, if you're hyper grace and you just you believe, Trump is, he's the go-go, whatever. There's no secrets. There's no whatever. You haven't studied any truth or stuff. You believe any deception that CNN tells you. Well, there's going to be some issues because, if a mile-wide spaceships park over the city, you're going to be like, where was God? And how come I'm not raptured yet? And then you're going to have a great, your heart's going to fail you. On the other side, if we have to go and group up with other believers and you're part of a Torah community that you don't associate with anybody who's not exactly like you, wearing your seats, celebrating on a specific day, your calendars don't match up. And now you're being thrown into a group of people out in the wilderness somewhere who are all different, select group of Christians. You're going to get kicked out. You're going to be the weakest link if you starting fights, out in the, think of, like a Walking Dead scenario, and you guys are in this little group out in the forest, and then you're out there saying, well, you guys need to learn this and need to learn this. They're going to kick you out. Like, they're not going to deal with that kind of thing. When you get into a situation where you guys have to unite for survival, and you're the one that's sitting there pointing out everybody's flaws and thinking that you're better than everybody else, I guarantee you're probably going to be the last one to get supper. That's just kind of the way that I look at it. So we have to really understand that God's calling us to, we're not one side of the pendulum or the other. The world works in ways like that, left, right, these different divisive things. See, God is not TO and love or TO and grace. God is in the middle of those. So it's not a pendulum where it's one side or the other. It's in the middle where you are filled with love for your brother and your sister. That's what Jesus did. Jesus wasn't hyper grace with no law. He followed the law. He fulfilled the law, but he wasn't also on the other side. And he healed people because he loved them. And he walked in faith because he believed in who his father was.
He knew who he was. He knew who he was. He knew that he was the Son of God, and he had all this power, right? That's the thing too. We need to remember who we are. We operate. How many people that know the truth, like me and you, right? And all these people that are in here watching us, how many of us walk around like we carry the seal of the king? Like literally walk around with the authority that we actually have. We don't. I don't even think about it half the time. I'm the one talking about it right now, and I seriously don't. It doesn't come to mind. That's why it's so important for us to reshape the way we think about things, because, it's impossible to have fear when you know you're the king. You know what I'm saying? Or you're the prince. Like, dude, no one's gonna mug you because you're the freaking prince. You know what I'm saying? Like, this, there's no one gonna touch you if they're at all sane. Because they know that they're going to get crushed.
We were given back the authority that Adam forgave to Satan. Even Jesus, talking about Satan, called him the God and the prince of this earth. But when he went through the death, burial, and resurrection, he took that power back away and gave it to his people. We have the power to tread on the head of serpents and snakes, not in the literal sense. If you understand what it means, is we are given the power through the Holy Spirit to command presence in the spiritual realm. Like,
Whatsoever we loose in heaven will be loosed on earth, right?
We're so physical minded because of the world we live in with our apps and our phones and our television and things like that, because that is how the adversary has made us forget our real birthright. Our real power is in the spiritual realm. It's not how much you make an hour or how big of a car you drive or anything like that, or whether, you've got an AK-47. And that doesn't really matter, because the power of God in the spiritual realm through us is more powerful than, you go look up the stories of the little old ladies who got robbed, and she sits the guy down and talks to him about Jesus, and he converts to Christianity. Okay, this guy could have shot her in the face and she could have died, but he actually sits there while this lady preaches the good news to a guy who's trying to rob her. That is the power of God that we should be concentrating on. But yet we're so worried about what CNN says or who's bombing who in the Middle East. Like, we should be focused on our spiritual, who we are in the spiritual realm. We are a son and daughter, grafted in, adopted into the power of the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And what do we do with it? And you can have all the knowledge in the world and have no idea about the power, especially if you don't walk it. You can know all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, here's another thing. Okay, everybody's always talking, when they talk spiritual warfare, they're always like, you need to put on the full armor, right? That's true, you do. And you need to know how that you have to live appropriately to keep it on. Because the moment you forget and you do something, your armor falls off, man. And then you have no armor. Well, here's the other thing too. Say you're really good at keeping that armor on and you do everything right, but you don't know how to wield the sword of the Spirit. Then you're just getting banged on. Right. They're just banging and roughing you up. You might not be getting killed, but you're not an effective weapon, because you only have one weapon. It's a sword of the Spirit, right? You don't know how to use it. That you're not going to war, because I don't want anybody on my team that doesn't know how to do offense. You know what I mean? You don't see those one guys that are out there like all he does is block. That's it, man. He just blocks the enemy. That's it. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't have anything. He just stands there in the way. Like, that doesn't happen. And that's the other thing. God, this is a war, right? We're at a war, and we're ramping up, because if you don't know, in Revelation, that's the end of the book, it starts to talk about this Revelation 19:19 event, right? Where it's the outpouring of the demonic, the day of Pentecost for the demons, right? This unleashing, the Black Awakening, right? And that is what some of us are going to that's our goal. Like, we want to fight in these battles, right? Well, God's not going to take you to be an elite fighter in an elite battle if you suck at fighting. You know what I mean? I'm going to be straight up. Straight up. If you suck at it, you're not going, because you will die. It doesn't mean you're not going to heaven. Okay? Just because you die doesn't mean you're not going to heaven. He never said everyone's going to live till the end, right? Some of us will die, right? I might die. I'm hoping not to. I hope I fight through this thing. I want to fight, But I think he gives each person something, and it's your job to cultivate what that is, because some of us will die. Some of us won't make it, right? We're still going to heaven. We'll still see each other again. Still, you get all the promises and everything. I want to be an elite fighter, right? That's my goal. So I'm trying my best to eliminate things before they get ripped away from me.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I guess, because we're running a little. We had a couple minutes.
We're going all night, man. I keep seeing people be like, "I got to go to work," and I'm glad you guys are hanging, but I got to go to work too, and I got to go to work in 4 hours.
No, we thank you guys. Thank you guys. Make sure you guys, like the video. We're fighting the algorithms of YouTube and Alphabet Inc. So, yeah. So make sure you guys like the video, and also we're going to task you guys with things tonight. So not only are we going to do them, but we want everyone who's listening, not only tonight, but if you see this video after the fact. But tonight, we kind of focused on a lot of things about how to, if you're stagnant in your walk, or where are you at in your walk, or you're not really sure. So tonight, what we want you to do is ask God where you need to be at. go to him and say, look, okay, I understand where you have me at right now. What do I need to learn? Like, step on your pride for a minute and get down on the floor, prostrate in front of God and say, look, I don't know everything. I don't know what you want. I don't know, where I'm supposed to be at, what I'm supposed to be doing. What do I need to be taught? What do I need to be doing? And listen for that voice. Let him open the doors. Give it over to him. Let's say, look, if I need to be somewhere else, if I need to be going back to church, if I need to be in a group, if I need to be doing whatever, God, make it happen, right? Don't make it happen yourself, but let God do it. Give over command and control of your life to the commander. Right. Mm-hmm. If we're talking about military terms and military terminology, that commander in chief, if he decides that you're going somewhere, what are you going to do in the military? Say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to Iraq today. It's not happening. No, what we need to do is we need to give over our own will to the Father and let him direct us. So tonight, what I task you guys to do is ask the Father, say, where do I need to be at? What am I lacking in, Father? Let's start working on that. Do I need to be praying more? Do I need to be loving people? Do I need to be out here outreaching to people? Where do you need me? What do I need to be doing? And what talents do I need to be working on? Do I need to be growing? Do I need to be focusing on? What can I do for your kingdom? Ask him that tonight. And we'll, the next step is how we're going to progress when we do this again next week. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Next week, we're going to try to, I'm hoping it's next week, man. We're going to try to do this, start the Joshua generation stuff. I think it's really cool. It's exciting, and it's going to open up a lot more topics for us to talk about. But I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. I really liked it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we did. So I love the live chat interaction.
Oh, okay. Let me answer this question here. Why is this not on Through the Black? Good question. Good question, Chris. Originally months ago, this was suggested in a conversation with the Through the Black people to be a Through the Black channel show. However, I don't know what's going on over there. They don't talk to me anymore because they're all busy. We had the holiday season. Nobody even said anything.
They got stuff going on.
Yeah, they got stuff going on. They said, bear with us. I don't even know what that means. I'm done. Dude, I know he's not even going to watch this. He's definitely not going to watch over 2 hours of this. So people write messages to Tom Dunn and be like, dude, what's going on? Why is SITREP not on Through the Black like it's supposed to be? Only reason we were going to do it on Through the Black is because of their platform. It's bigger, spiritual warfare based, and that's kind of what we wanted to gear towards anyways. But guess what? I'm a part of Through the Black's team anyways. We can do this wherever. That's why we decided we're just going to do it on my channel right now. If we swing over to Through the Black, cool. We'll do it on both channels. Yeah. We can mirror it wherever. Take on the World TV. You want to mirror this on your channel? Take it and mirror it on your channel, dude. Chris, we love you, man. I didn't quit Take on the World TV, by the way. Work.
Yeah, since they're already on your channel, we were going to direct people to everyone's channels. You can go.
Yeah, you know what we need? We need to find out somebody that's smarter than us. Find out if we can stream on multiple channels or multiple platforms. So we can be Facebook live and YouTube live and, D live or whatever, DTube or whatever all these tubes are that are out there now. We need to try to figure out something. We're also probably going to strip this and make it a podcast just because,
That's right. Tom has the man flu. I saw that earlier today.
The man flu. What exactly is that?
That's the flu that's worse than pregnancy. You've never had that? See, I don't get.
Every flu is worse than pregnancy.
I'm not allowed to have that. So
crybaby, dude.
I know, I am too. I cut my arm off and be like, "Oh, look, we need to go to the hospital." But
no, that kind of pains. That pain's fine. Dude, I got this massive.
If I get sick, oh man, yeah,
massive
it's over.
Scars, broken bones, not phased. Flu or throwing up or nausea, dude. I am crying. But I also don't want people around me either. I'm not the guy that needs a back rub. I'm the guy that doesn't want to be around anybody when I'm sick. I'm just get away from me.
See, yeah, I'm just laying in bed
and they're like, I want something.
I lay in bed with like 4 covers on and blow a blow dryer on me. That's me when I'm sick. So I just sweat it out and I'm good.
Yeah, I
So
think my wife's pretty cool, man. She makes me drink elderberry syrup all the time, so I haven't been sick in a while.
yeah, my wife keeps giving me these horse pills, and like they asked me, like, would you take these
Those are
supplements
roofies,
and stuff? Yeah, that's why I fell asleep yesterday when I first sat down. But
Yeah, I got 5 kids. I know what roofies look like.
No, we know about streaming on multi-platforming. I think we're saying streaming on multiple channels on YouTube at the same time would be nice. So
Yeah, it would be. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore, man.
I
But
don't
yeah,
know.
well, you know, whatever, dude. These people are hanging out like champions, though.
Yeah.
So cool, man. Share this video if you enjoyed it. Give us a thumbs up, and you're gonna have to share it because you can't search it.
Yeah.
So I mean, for sure, you definitely can't search it. So, and maybe I'll try uploading it, Chris, since you know told me I have to upload it myself.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rip it and put it over on my channel too.
Yeah, for sure. Put it on there. Anybody else that wants to put it on their channel too, dude, I don't care about that. I'm not monetizing anything on this channel. Take whatever you want, rip it. If you have suggestions, also, you can email me or you can put it in the comments here. Whatever, comment on this, not the chat. Do it on the comments, or just email me on ianchadrick@gmail.com. Email me what you guys want to talk about. What are you guys struggling with? What do you want to know about? Conspiracy stuff, whatever, anything like that. We'll try to tie it into whatever we're talking about. We're trying to take advantage of all the knowledge that we know.
Yeah.
You know, as the situation report is about taking you through our journeys and what we see with the knowledge that we have, what we're doing to try to get to where we want to go, where we think God's calling us to go, and stuff like that. The situation report.
Yep.
So
yeah, because you're not alone. We're all walking through these kind of things together. So you know, it's one thing to just like and this is kind of what we were talking about with like if you go to like Ian's stuff that he's done with Take on the World and stuff, like he has a very like truther, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff that you want to know about. Like he's got it on his stuff with his truth. What was the name of the
reality distortion?
Reality distortion. Yep. So he's got a lot of that stuff, which he's got cool things that he ties down timelines and stuff like that. But on the other side, you've got my channel, which we're doing biblical readings of, you know, parables of Jesus and stuff like that. So we bring 2 different aspects together in the middle for a show like this. So that's kind of what we're trying to bridge the gap to get everybody to stop doing what the world does and hates people who aren't like them, and try to get the community that we are involved in, the actual truther community, because we know that the truth is the Messiah, right?
Right. That's the truth.
If we're going to call ourselves truthers, we need to be, or Christians at that. I mean, don't say you're a Christian if you're not going to act Christ-like, and
right.
You know,
or follow him, do what he does. That's
right.
What Christian means, Christ follower, right?
Right.
You're not going to follow him, but you know. Then it's not, you can't just know him. You got to do what he does. You got to walk like he walked. But yeah, what you were saying about, dude, I'm losing my mind. I can't focus.
It's getting late.
Yeah. I've been awake for a long time.
Oh man,
sorry,
dude, it was funny. Last night I came home from was it last night? Yeah, I came home from work and I sat down on the couch. Like, dude, I'm not that old, but I'm falling asleep in my recliner now. Like, just coming home and just passing out, dude.
Yeah,
I'm getting it's getting.
Yeah,
I'm getting old, sure, man.
And we could do a study of Acts. I see that, Sherry.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Acts is good because that's where we're at.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's where we're at, man. That's what we need to be seeing, some of that stuff, dude. You know, I think we got exciting things, and you know, part of the you know, those timelines and the reality distortion effect and the understanding the parables of Jesus and all that stuff. It's all one thing, man. Like if we can't relate the truth that we have been let in on to what we're actually, like, you know, our actual commission and everything, and how that's going to play a role in fulfilling that, then we're not working out. It's not working out for us. So we just need to figure out how to do that. And I think it's super cool in a discussion form. Like, we're going to have some guys on too. Like, by the way, in the beginning, when I was talking about that book, Reigniting Spirit and Truth with P.D. Vander Westhausen, if you don't know who that guy is, look him up. His book is awesome. I highly recommend it. I believe Jake Grant has an interview with him from before the book came out on Now You See TV, or it might be on Jake's page. But I'm in contact with him as well, and he's interested in coming on this show in the next month or so. So hopefully that'll be cool. We're going to talk to him. We're not going to do what every other show does where they talk about his book. We want to know, what's the situation report with this dude, right? What's going on with you, man? What are you doing right now? All that stuff. And then we got some other guys that are interested in coming on as well. So it should be pretty fun. It's going to be cool to hang out with everybody. And if you want to see somebody come on here and talk to us and discuss some things with us, cool. Let us know. Ian Chadrick at Gmail, whatever your email is.
Just going to go with the spirit takes us on this. So we thank you guys for hanging out and spending time with us. And we'll be back next Wednesday, right? We're going to do it again. Same time, same place. Maybe a different channel.
For right now. Well, for right now, we're going to keep it on this channel until we get confirmation. But Tony who? Who do you want? Tony, who's this Tony guy? I don't know who you're talking about, man. When you say get Tony on, I don't know who that is. A lot of Tonys out there, man. Tony Soprano? What are you talking about? Anyways, thanks for hanging out with us for so long.
Yeah, guys. Thank you. And God bless.
God bless.
And don't forget, go ask God tonight.
Well, for sure. See ya.
Bye, guys.